Welcome to Gold Derby's Producers Guild of America Awards nominees panel. Today, I'm privileged to be joined by Lauren Neustadter from Daisy Jones and the Six, Todd Schulman from Jury Duty, Sarah Schechter from Red, White, and Royal Blue, and Tom Campbell from RuPaul's Drag Race. Thank you all for being here. I wanted to start off by asking each of you a question I often get asked myself. I think most of us know what a writer does. We're also pretty sure we know what a director does. They flip on a beret, grab a bullhorn, and yell at people. No, seriously, what exactly does a producer do? I realize there may be as many individual answers to that question as there are projects, but let's look at your own experience and start with you, Lauren.
I think what we do is we push every boulder up every hill, and we are the people that everybody comes to when there's a problem. The analogy that I used, because I started off, Sarah and I both went from being studio executives at movie studios to being producers where we're working in film and television. And I feel like we probably have a lot of really shared experiences. But I always said when I was the movie studio executive, I would walk onto set and I would be like, I think I smell smoke. Is everything cool? And it'll be like, everything's totally fine. We're good. You just sit over there and we'll come back and get you. And they would go and like put out the fire. Our job as producers is we just walk around. We've got the fire extinguisher kind of like casually behind our back, and we're ready to put out every single fire. And we're the people that they go to when they smell smoke. And I think it's really our privilege to get to run toward it and figure out what's really going on and how we can make it better.
Todd, what was your job as producer on Jury Duty?
I'm not going to beat Lauren's answer, but no, whatever's needed, I think is really the simplest, and certain projects have different needs than others. So on Jury Duty, which was truly like a very strange project in that there wasn't like one like singular author who kind of had this thing and saw it through from start to finish. It was kind of a collective. And so we were all constantly in communication and doing whatever. We all had different skill sets. And I obviously, coming from the Sacha Baron Cohen world, knew more about kind of how to meld the reality element to it. But then Lee Eisenberg and Gene Stupnitsky, who come from the world of The Office, obviously a lot of scripted experience there. And so I think, as Lauren said, we're doing whatever's needed and putting out whatever fires are presented on the day.
And Sarah, how about you on Red, White, and Royal Blue?
It's funny. Well, I've produced a lot of things. And so it's always slightly different, which is maybe why it's hard for people to understand. But I think, Lauren, the version I always say is like when you're on set, you're just there in your full fireman gear, just waiting for a fire. So you know what I mean? It's like when there's a fireworks display and the fire truck's there just in case. Like that's a lot of what producing on set is. But I think in general, look, producers are oftentimes the very first person to sign on to a project or the second or third. And we work on it for years and years and years. A lot of projects, we never make a dime because they never get made because producers, even though they're first, are oftentimes the last to get paid. And what we do is we have to build a dream that other people can sign on to. We have to convince it's a lot of convincing that like this idea or this writer's idea or this book or this actor's notion is enough and can have a foundation strong enough to make something from. So I think it's falling in love with something. It's trying to remember why you fell in love with it for years, draft after draft. And it's trying to make, you're trying to assemble an incredible group of artists to share a collective story that will touch other people. And a lot of times, again, and then we're working on it till the very end. We're in color timing, we're in marketing meetings. Like I think that producers kind of oversee everything and work really, really hard, oftentimes without nearly enough credit. But I think that a producer does everything is kind of the short version of what I just said.
Including stopping arsonists from burning down the set.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. No. There's a lot of there's a term called arsonist firemen, and there's a lot of those in Hollywood that will set a fire just so they can be the hero that puts it out. But a lot of times they're not good at putting it out. They're just better at starting it.
Yikes. Tom, what's your day-to-day like on
I will just say that it takes a village, people, we say on RuPaul's Drag Race. There are many producers, and we shoot our shows most of our episodes are done in 2 days, and they're total transformations. So we have story producers, we have more of our technical crew producers, I tend to do more of the talent creative producing. We all come together. There's our post producer, except we're all on everything, but we work together like a machine. And it's just a joy. And there's also a part of the production, I don't know if you guys agree with this, where it's like, you're always selling. Like, oftentimes we're the ones who sell the show, and then you're selling it back to the network. And when you have multiple seasons, you don't stop selling. You keep having to reinvent. And sometimes it's even trickier because you're taking a lot of this familiar elements, but finding a way to like freshen them and get people excited again and get campaigns going and get backing and all that. So we're here not to fuck it up, if I may quote a group.
Did you start out there, Todd, by saying it takes the village people?
It takes a village people. That's a RuPaul quote that I use often. Thank you.
I love
I
it.
also think, just to add to all of these great ideas, the other thing that we talk about a lot at Hello Sunshine is that producing is a lot like parenting, that you really, like, exactly as Sarah was saying, like, so much we're part of it in the very beginning, and we never stop loving it, right? And you always see the show or the movie for its potential, and it doesn't matter how hard it gets. You just love it more and more and more, and believe in it more and more and more. And at the end, you get to, sort of admire it, which I think it's kind of, as a mom, as I look at my little tiny humans and I look at them growing up, it's all those things and all those feelings, but it's the never giving up.
Much like parenting, it's the opposite of a 9-to-5 job.
That's right. 24/7.
Yes.
As Sarah said, for years.
Yeah.
For the next question, I wanted you to talk about the career trajectory that led to your becoming producers, because I'm not sure a lot of people set out necessarily to become precisely that, even if they get into entertainment. Let's go in reverse order and start with you, Tom. How did you become a producer?
Me?
Yes, Tom.
I'm listening. I'm here. I'm listening. I didn't come through production. I came through network. I worked at HBO, MTV, ABC Daytime in development, and I was the network executive who got to come on and smell smoke and go, what was this? And it was great. And I tended to work at places that were pretty hands-on. I was at MTV. I did scripted at MTV in '92, this show called Dead at 21, which no one remembers. And in daytime, I did all these different things, which is great. But I found daytime so remarkable because they make a show every day. So it's like, and if something's wrong, you got to fix that train while it's running. And after, and I was at Warner Brothers in comedy and scripted, but after I took a little break, and after 2000, when reality started, it just was kind of something for me that, like, I'm sort of a lazy writer. And so I have really good ideas and I can sell stuff. And so it was, through that and selling this show and other shows at World of Wonder that I've been able to sort of take that influence and ideas and keep them alive as a producer. So it came from sort of desk to set.
Sarah, how did you wind up in this crazy job?
I started off as a PA on set. When I was in high school, I started working in production, which I would recommend for anyone to understand how it really happens. And then I at first thought I wanted to be a director. I just was like very cognizant of how much I love the entertainment industry and how few women role models there were. So I was very cognizant of actually wanting to expand those ranks. And so I worked for a producer for many years who I learned a lot from. And then I worked at Warner Brothers, which was really my graduate degree. And I worked with a lot of brilliant people, and I got to make a lot of things. And that's how you get better, is you learn all the great, and I'm sure like in live stuff, it's the same, you face the same problems enough times, they stop being so overwhelming. You just like, oh, I know how to do that. It's like you're a car mechanic or something. Like, so then I partnered with Greg Berlanti, who's the greatest, about 10 years ago, and have been, and he was sort of like, you're a producer. I really cared way too much to be a studio executive. Like, I really cared about the projects too much. People were like, why are you still in that script meeting? And I'd be like, why wouldn't I be in the script meeting? Like, what could be better than the working on the script? And they're like, so I was really finding the right kind of Goldilocks job for myself in the business.
Okay, so what I got from that is studio executives don't care. No, I'm kidding. Sorry.
No, they care very much, but they have to care about 100 projects, and they have to
Absolutely.
be a little bit more objective, I think, right? Of like, okay, well, the one that gets the movie star, we should really get behind. I mean, that's their job. It was my job.
Yeah.
And, they care, they definitely care, but like to, No,
I was kidding.
Yeah.
I understand.
Getting me in trouble.
Sorry. How about you, Todd? How did you how did producing come into your life?
Sure. So I went to film school and then moved out to LA and was like, I'm going to be a writer director. That's my plan. And was out here for a few months writing and very quickly realized I hated myself. I hated what I wrote. I hated writing, but I told everyone that was what I was going to do. So I was like, I guess I'm just going to be a self-loathing writer, which is a very common occupation in LA. But then someone reached out to me.
Which is pretty much redundant too.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I don't even know why I said that. But someone reached out to me and knew I was a huge fan of the Ali G show. And it was like the one person I knew in LA. And they said, he's bringing the show to America. He's looking for an assistant. You're not going to get the job, but you'll get to meet him. And I was like, please give me that chance. And I got the job somehow and was a terrible assistant. But was useful. It was a very small production. There was like 6 people on the road making this show basically. And so I got to do a little bit of everything. And so even though I was a bad assistant, I proved myself to be useful. And so continued working with Sasha, and he kept giving me, increased opportunities to his credit. And before I knew it, I was producing his movies, and the rest is history.
That really is like going to school, being with Sacha Baron Cohen. I can't even imagine.
It was,
wow.
You get paid in like cocktail stories is really the reality.
I feel like the whole rest of the Zoom should be talking about the Ali G show and like working on that and just talking about, what an amazing, I love Jury Duty. You guys, I'm such fans of all of yours.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's, it is like a bottomless supply of good stories, but also it's all that stuff, which I know we all have experienced, where in the moment it's so deeply stressful, and then like you tell the story 3 years later and it's hilarious, but in that moment you're not laughing at all. So that's what it was for many years for me.
I'll bet. Lauren, what led you to get into being a producer?
I really wanted to be an actress as a kid. And then when I graduated college, I came out here for college. And when I graduated, I realized that I should not be in front of a camera. I didn't quite know where I belonged. I went to work at CAA in the MP Lit department, and then found my way to being an assistant at HBO Films, where I met my really formative mentor, Carrie Putnam. I worked for her. And when she went to run Miramax, she made me an executive. I followed her there. I was there for a couple of years with her. I did a short producing stint, and I felt like I was a better executive than a producer. So then I went back to being an executive. I worked at 20th Century Fox on the movie side, and I oversaw a movie called This Means War, starring Reese Witherspoon. And then I had a baby, and I came back, and I realized that the stories that I was most inspired by were being told on smaller screens. And so I actually made a jump, and I went across the street on the Fox lot, and I worked at the network. And I worked at the network for 4 years and change. I was in the process of renewing my deal when I got a call out of the blue saying that Reese was starting a new company and wanted to know if I was interested in running film and television. And my first question that I asked the mutual friend that called me is, does she know that I'm 7 months pregnant? And the answer was yes. And I said, does she care? And the answer was no. And the rest is history. I signed my deal to work at Hello Sunshine when I was 8.5 months pregnant. I took a full maternity leave, and I started when our daughter was 3 months old. And so now I'm going on my daughter's birthday is next week. So going on 7 years at Hello Sunshine. And, I really didn't believe that I knew what it took to produce. And I was really scared to do it. But it has been the greatest joy and the greatest privilege. I just, it is a 24/7 job. And I think it's a job that people can't do unless they care so much. But if you do care so much, how lucky to get to do work that we love. What a privilege to be on the front lines.
Absolutely. And the message there is get pregnant, and you too can become a producer at a company. No.
Or be on a set as a studio executive and care so much that, just like Greg saw how much Sarah cared, I think I didn't realize that Reese noticed me, but she must have, and that was
clearly
it was back years later.
One last quick question, I think, before we wrap. I'd like to know if there's a television or streaming show each of you have seen in, say, the last few years that you love so much that you wish you were involved as a producer but aren't, and the reasons why you wish so much you were involved. Let's start with you, Sarah.
Oh, you can't start with me. I'm working scripted. That's not fair. I will say Daisy Jones. I really loved that book so much. And that was one that I really like. I'm so happy that Lauren Scott and Reese got to make it and do it so well. But that was a show. There's so many, that's what's great. There's so many shows I love. There's so like I love like Insecure. I was so sad when that ended. I love Fargo. There's just so much that inspires me. But obviously if there was one show that I could have been involved in the last 5 years, hands down, it would have to be Succession. I just
Yeah, we really are in something of a new golden age here.
Yeah.
There's so much choice and so much.
But I'm so jealous of so many
amazing
things, but
product.
that keeps us going. That keeps us inspired and excited, you know?
Todd, how about you? What show have you seen lately or semi-lately that you're jealous of?
I mean, it's not that lately, but I just watched all of the rehearsal with my like jaw on the floor and was just like, this is incredible. This is what I love, you know? So that would probably be my quick, simple answer.
So good.
How about you, Lauren?
I mean, I feel like it's fitting because we're on the Zoom, but I have to say, Jury Duty. Like I thought it was so innovative, and so it must have every day must have been such an adrenaline rush and so overwhelming and terrifying and exciting and thrilling, and like just watching that last episode and seeing how you guys had to pivot. I just can't imagine. I would have loved to have been a part of what you were doing to prepare. And then when you had to get that whole cast and like lie to him and figure out how are you going to move around and no one could break. I mean, just the degree of difficulty of what you guys pulled off. I watched the show as a fan, but as a producer, I will say, I just thought like, what an amazing, awesome thing you did. And how cool must it have been to have been a part of it. I just thought it was really innovative and exciting.
Well, I'd like to change my answer to Daisy Jones for the record. So just no, I appreciate that's very kind. You say I have to also give credit to like Nick Hatton and Cody Heller and Jake. Like it was really a group effort, and those guys were on like the front lines. And yeah, but I really that's very kind of you to say. Thank you.
I mean it.
Finally, Tom,
I'm going to give one controversial answer.
I was going to say, who can you praise in this room? No,
I'm going to. My friends throw things at me when I say this, but I worked in music management. My first job out of here, I was not a bigwig, but I saw everything. And I think The Idol on HBO tells what show business is more accurate. People are like, it's so uncomfortable. It's so disgusting. I'm like, yes, that is the music industry. Okay, that's my cynical, crazy thing. And I'll give it up to Jury Duty. So you have to like RuPaul's Drag Race because no, I mean, I really do think it's so hard because I'll keep it unscripted because that's kind of what I do. But it's like, it's so hard to innovate. It's so hard to get someone to believe in that twist and to invest in that. And also to make something, I have no need to hear, and I'm not putting anything down, people love stuff, but I don't need to hear housewives fighting. I don't need to, in my own head, I don't need to see, you know, people backstabbing each other to try to get money. I need more love and buoyancy. And I thought that show really delivered intrigue, but also had this incredible heart. So good on you.
Thank you again. Yeah. Wow.
we're going to have to.
Yeah. I'm just mad at Sarah now. Like, what's the deal,
Idol.
Sarah? Like, you like Succession better than Jury Duty? What's your problem?
I can't let Dave Burnett's head get any bigger. Come on.
No comment. Yeah.
Todd's head is barely going to fit on the screen here now. We're going to actually have to wrap things there. I wish we could go on for hours. This is really fun. Lauren Neustadter, Todd Schulman, Sarah Schechter, and Tom Campbell, congratulations on your PGA Award nominations. Best of luck at the ceremony on February 25th. And thanks for joining us today at Gold Derby.
Thank you for
Good luck,
having
everybody.
me.
Nice to meet you.
Nice
Likewise.
to meet
Take
you.
care.
Bye.
Bye, guys.